What's good, everyone? Welcome into Fantasy Focus Football, presented by Wingstop, alongside Mike Clay and Field Yates. My name is Daniel Dopp, here to give you everything for Week 12, our second part of our preview, as well as a little bit of a Thursday Night Football recap, my friends. How you guys doing?
Good. I am completely amazed by some of the things that we saw last night.
No doubt.
We said yesterday we were excited about that game, and we had some questions.
We did. We'll
about
get to
whether
them.
Josh Allen could be started. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but it's great to be here. This is Week 12. Just an early heads up, Week 13, we are on the air 3 days next week as opposed to our usual 5. So
yeah, it's weird. Week 13 doesn't have a bye week in the NFL, but there is a bye week for us because we are off on Thursdays and Fridays.
It's our bye
week.
It's our bye week.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So we will talk more about that, though, obviously, next week. Let's make sure that we get you set up for this week and you are ready for everything. Shout out to our friends over at Trophy Smack. Visit TrophySmack.com. Use the promo code FOCUS10 for 10% off your order over there. And shout out to our buddy Eric Moody hanging out in the YouTube chat right now. Follow him on social media at Eric N. Moody, everywhere that you get your social content. And make sure you give him a little bit of love in our YouTube chat today. All right, with that being said, let's dive into this Thursday Night Football recap.
Let's do it.
Where I crushed Mike in a board bet saying Josh Allen would be a top 8 quarterback. He finished as QB2 on the week so far. He scored exactly 8 points.
Hey,
seriously,
this is
we need to lead in with this. Mike, you laid out an unbelievable argument yesterday about why we should be potentially lowering expectations on Josh Allen, and basically everything that you said just came to fruition.
Field and I were talking about this right before the show. It's like, should we have had more conviction on this one?
Yeah.
It's so tough. It's like all the signs say it's going to be a dud for Josh Allen. All the signs, but how do you bench him? And to your point, off a 6-touchdown game, it's still Josh Allen at the end of the day. But he continues his streak now of 5 road games this year, no finishes in fantasy, better than 8th. If you're watching the stream here, you can see it on your screen. Wow. He'll be 24, 18, 8, 10, and now he's going to finish probably, I don't know,
outside the top 20.
27 this week or something.
For sure.
So it's something I didn't look at the schedule, but
28 quarterbacks total playing this week.
Yeah, so
he might be 27.
He might be. He might be. He'll be low for sure.
Yeah, we have to keep an eye on the schedule going forward. If it's a good matchup on the road, we're not as concerned. As you saw, you had like 18 and 24 points in 2 of them games.
Yeah.
Still finished QB8 or lower. You're still going to start him, but this is something we need to monitor because it's been hot and cold for home and road for him this year.
I tell you what, I think the thing you need to be monitoring more than that is the Texans defense and their schedule going forward, because I know we have very little time before kickoff on Sunday, but if you have Daniel Jones and you can move him right now for a usable piece, I'm telling you, man, that is intriguing to me, because Dimes goes this week, the Chiefs. I've already laid out my concerns there. Next week, the Texans. This Texans defense is flat out nasty. They have not allowed a top 12 quarterback all season. Over the next 2 weeks, and keep this in mind, Daniel Jones and Patrick Mahomes over the next 2 weeks. They have Dak Prescott down the schedule as well. So we'll have those conversations when those times arise about whether you should be starting or sitting those players against against this Houston Texans defense. It could have been worse, truthfully, last night. Like, there were a couple of wild plays last night. Yes. We were talking about this before the show as well. First of all, a 4th and 27 conversion on a hook and lateral
crazy
to Khalil Shakir, which the Texans defense just for some reason has like 5 plays a game where they just forget how great they are, and they are great. On top of that, there was a 3rd and 18. They had just sacked Josh Allen. Usually on 3rd and 18, you're saying to yourself, everything in front of the sticks, right? We will drop back into coverage as long as a 4th down is the next play. Yep. Instead, they brought all this pressure, and Khalil Shakir goes for a 44-yard swing pass where he was not touched until about 42 yards down the field. So it could have been worse for Josh Allen, but buyer beware when your quarterback is facing the Houston Texans.
Did either of you guys, coming out of this conversation Mike gave us yesterday, make the decision to bench Josh Allen in any of your leagues for anybody else?
I have one league, and in that league, my backup quarterback is basically non-existent. I've had enough crap on that team throughout the year that I have not rostered a second quarterback except for when Allen was on a bye.
Okay.
So I did not make the decision to bench him, and I wish I did.
I've got 2 leagues where I have Josh Allen this year. One of them I had Michael Penix as my backup, so I now have dropped him and added someone else. So I definitely started Josh Allen because he was the best option. Yeah, Another league, I had Brock Purdy, and I made the decision to bench Josh Allen, and I played Brock Purdy.
All right.
So that would be like no doubt about it. But it would be like if you had Sam Darnold. I guess that's a bad example because
a lot of people who had Purdy and Allen on their roster started Allen.
Really?
I would say most people did.
It was smart.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you
was
guys.
smart.
Don't you agree with that?
Well, I mean, to be fair, we haven't played the games yet.
Smart.
He could be QB 28. Josh Allen could be QB 27 on the week, so we'll see.
I'm looking for the person that's like, hey man, like I'm going out there with, and I'm trying to think of a quarterback that like has a low ceiling, but is hopefully going to get you
like
more
Jordan Love or something like that. Yeah.
Doesn't Bryce Young have another?
I think
killer
like
matchup?
Bryce would be a good one where it's like I'm benching him for Bryce Young. Like that to me would have been like
against the Niners, right?
Going out there on a limb and doing it like Aaron Rodgers. If you don't play, you know. So, anyways,
I mean, Cam Ward at this point, you would have.
I mean,
Shador Sanders might outscore him. So
Bills were pretty chalk though. Other than that, James Cook.
It's great.
He delivered again.
It's fantastic.
Shakir had a season high 110 receiving yards. He had 8 catches, which I think was tied for his season high. It's those 3 guys. That's it. The Texans. The Woody Marks takeover is here as far as snaps played. That being said, it's been back-to-back games where he's played a lot and hasn't had much in the way of fantasy relevance. So this offense still having some struggles. Mike alerted us to Jaden Higgins and the potential for an expanded role coming into the game yesterday. He found the end zone. Nearly
9
had
targets,
2 touchdowns.
easily a team high. Easily.
Nico Collins had 3 catches for 55 yards in the first half. 52 yards, and then he had 0 catches in the second half. It was a funky game, and they were playing with the lead. I actually thought they should have gone for the kill a couple times earlier in the fourth quarter, and they kept letting Buffalo hang around, and they kept running the football sort of stubbornly in Houston. That being said, hanging around.
Well
done. They're 6-5 now, and by the way, everything they want is in front of them, including 2 games against the Colts.
Yeah, it's wide open. And you just mentioned the Colts have a very tough schedule. It's wide open for the Texans, who should have C.J. Stroud back for their next game. Not that they've missed a beat offensively with Davis Mills under center. And by the way, Woody Marks 16 for 74 on the ground. You'd going into the game, if you knew that, you'd be like, all right, he had a good game, but he had -5 receiving yards on 1 catch. We need more involvement in the passing game. It just did not happen for him in this game.
He had a couple times, too, inside like the probably 7-yard line where they were trying to give him the ball at the goal line-ish, and then it didn't work, and then they pulled him out, and then they put in Nick Chubb, and it was like, please don't do this.
Yeah, we were talking about it with this over text. We were like, every Nick Chubb carry is a win for the Bills.
Yes,
Woody's legit, man.
He's got some.
He has overcome some of the concerns
Yeah.
coming into the NFL. Like, is his size and his power profile enough to be an every down back?
Looks like it.
Sure looked like it last night.
I got one last question about this game, and then I'm ready to move on. It has now been 2 straight weeks where Keon Coleman has been a healthy scratch because of I'm not totally sure what.
Yeah.
Do you guys
Gabe Davis.
say that again?
Gabe Davis.
He's their number 2 receiver
That's
now.
what- okay.
I was going to mention that as well. He's kind of established that quick. It's second game, and he's already second in line.
Yeah.
For them at
They
wide
play
receiver.
the same role, and you can argue which one of those guys is more talented at this juncture of his career. But for a Bills team that is still 7-4 and can be very good, but is going through more pains this year than they have in recent seasons, they're going to play the trusted vet.
Yeah.
They just are.
Coleman may be a change of scenery in the offseason sort of player, but certainly if
The
he's
Jalen
still on
Polk
your
trade.
roster, and I'm sure he's on a few, you cut him loose.
He's okay to be able to drop and move on for somebody
a while
else.
ago, honestly, but especially now. Yeah.
All right, let's dive into our Week 12 preview, Part 2. If you did not listen yesterday, feel free to head back and listen to Part 1 of that preview.
Let's go.
And Field Minister Yates, I'm going to start with you.
All right, let's do it. I feel like we talk about this player a lot, but he does tend to have an up and down nature to his game.
Okay.
So confidence level, if you will, going into this matchup against the Steelers for Caleb Williams.
Ooh.
It may sound like this is a really good matchup on paper. The Steelers have allowed the 10th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks this
Sounds
season.
good. Yeah.
However, they have held 3 straight quarterbacks under 15. They've been a little better defensively of late, and it's not like they have been playing against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in that stretch, but still, they've been a little bit better defensively over the past few games. They did a good job against Cincinnati's offense last week specifically. And Caleb Williams, at his best, can be QB1. He has been QB1 on 2 separate occasions this season for the entire week. Over his last 6 games, though, here is his finish, Caleb Williams. Quarterback 10, quarterback 27, quarterback 20, quarterback 1, quarterback 4, and quarterback 22. He is a feast or famine player.
That is all over the board.
Yeah. Any thoughts on whether you have the last 6 weeks would suggest to us that it's probably not going to be in the middle. Do you think he's more feast or famine this week?
Well, I decided to put him in the middle. That's what I did.
Wow. Fencing
QB12.
Mike Clay. Yeah.
QB12.
I mean, I think if you have, I'm going to start him, I think, in 1 league, maybe 2 this week. Yeah, he's a fringe starter, I think, in this matchup now. Yeah.
Okay. I think I would probably have him as a fringe starter as well, but I don't think you had asked confidence.
Yeah.
Like, given the yo-yo nature of what you just said.
6.
Ooh, no, probably. I mean, I would probably have him, not to land in the middle again, but my confidence would be in the middle because I don't know whether it's going to be that QB 20 game or QB 4 game because I've seen him do both.
Yeah, he's super talented. Maybe the Steelers rush the passer well against his great offensive line. That leads to some scramble opportunities. I did want to mention in that same game, other side of the coin is if Aaron Rodgers plays, it does seem like a good opportunity to stream him, right? The Bears, of course, have allowed the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. They are much better last week against J.J. McCarthy. Of note as well, top cornerback Jalen Johnson practiced in full yesterday. And he's not a good corner. He is an elite corner. He's an all-pro level cornerback. I'm not saying that changes the Bears' defense entirely, and they have massive injuries across the defense right now to the Bears. But this Bears defense last week showed itself to be a bit more capable. Does Aaron Rodgers crack your top 10 or 12 quarterbacks for the week?
No,
he does not.
He's not. He's not in the projections right now. I'm still leaning toward. I know he's limited, but I'm still on the fence on that one. So we'll make a decision on that today. We're going to project him or Mason Rudolph, but Rudolph in there for now. But I think Rodgers has to be like Cincinnati for me to stream him. He gets you nothing with his legs. You need basically 4 passing touchdowns to get there. So for me, he's not near my top 12.
I did see a rumor, and I don't know if this is substantiated or not, that if Aaron Rodgers is inactive, Darnell Washington's going to start at quarterback for Pittsburgh, and they're just going to run.
Good. We all want that.
Tush pushes.
I just want to make sure everyone else knows the thing that I sent to you guys, because on the Amon-Ra and Equanimia St. Brown podcast, they asked Darnell Mooney, Darnell, how much do you weigh now? Come on, man. You look like a freight train when you're out there. Like, you're not a normal tight end. He's 6'7", 311 pounds.
He's an offensive tackle.
There is a reason why when cornerbacks try to tackle him, it looks like they're little children and he's a mascot, like at halftime. Like, you know how they do those? Like, it's just insane. So anyways, I love Darnell Mooney.
Him being athletic enough to be a pass-catching tight end is awesome.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
By the way, of course, DK Metcalf, in theory, heads into this matchup with finally his easiest matchup of the year, and Jalen Johnson comes back.
Of course.
And may shadow him. It's a possibility.
So,
Metcalf just cannot get a break.
All right, Mike, I think you are up next.
I am, and this one's going to take a minute. This is where I'm going to spend most of my time because I have 5 backfields to work through here.
Boy.
I
guess a couple of them.
This relatively tight, but we have a bunch to talk about, so we grouped them all together. So give me a minute on this one.
All right.
We're going to start with Jacksonville.
Yep.
We did a change early last year. We had about 3 quarters. What did I say?
Last year, but still. It's the same thing.
There was a change last year, too.
Yes, there was. You're right.
Travis Etienne wasn't as good. Anyway, prior to leaving in the fourth quarter, Bashal Tutin, 22 snaps, 15 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Travis Etienne played 3 more snaps at that point, 25, but had 12 carries for 47 yards and a touchdown. LaQuinn Allen still played 4 snaps, but no carries in that game. Jacksonville did call 45 runs in that game as they were leading, so game script was obviously an issue, and Tutin getting more run as a rusher. I'm a little hesitant on Tutin still. Like, I'm not really there yet. This is still a committee. Etienne's not going anywhere. He's playing great this year.
Yeah, he is.
Tutin's played well, but we haven't seen him handle a workload that big this season. That was actually his highest snap share of the season, and he missed most of the fourth quarter. And they still like LaQuinn Allen in passing situations. Yeah. So I'm not there yet on Tutin. He can go on your bench for now, but this is not a guy I'm trusting in my flex just yet, even in a good matchup this week against Arizona.
2 things here, both Tutin and Etienne on the injury report this week, each limited so far. Etienne with the shoulder, Tutin with an ankle. I think for now, the conversation is not about whether Tutin belongs in lineups, but whether it has any impact on Etienne's season.
Right. I'm at 23 on Etienne, so that's probably a little bit lower. That's lower than where he's performed this season. But I'm still starting Etienne. It's doing that, and I'm not buying it. And by the way, he has 11 targets in 10 games as well. It does Tutin. Not much of a factor in the passing game, so you're not going to make up ground that way. So Etienne, I'm starting. Tutin, I am not.
All right.
How about the Patriots? Ramondre Stevenson seems likely to return for this one. Henderson has obviously been fantastic. I feel like we haven't seen him in forever.
I know.
But he has been.
You miss him, right?
Yeah, I do. 223 yards over his last. 243 yards. Apologies, Trevion, over his last 2 games. 5 touchdowns, 50 fantasy points. He has been electric. 87 plus yards now in 3 straight. But here's the thing. In looking at this backfield, I feel like you could justify starting both of them. They're
Yes.
playing the Bengals this week. So
Agreed.
if there was ever a perfect scenario where you're like, oh man, do I start him or does he go back to the bench and not play much? He might not play much and still have a huge game against Cincinnati Bengals who are just getting crushed here.
Can I correct one thing?
Please.
If there's ever a time where he might not play that much and you still might be able to start him, it's not just this Sunday. It's the following Monday as well against the Giants.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah,
back to back.
But I'm saying this is the week where we're going to kind of get an idea of is it 60-40 in favor of Henderson now?
Right.
Is it 70-30 in favor of Stevenson? At least we'll get a little bit of an idea from this matchup. Guys, 13 running backs already have 15-plus fantasy points against the Bengals this season.
Wow. Play 10 games. That means more
13.
than one a game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that
maybe
unreal?
there's room.
So this is
there
why
you go.
you're considering both of them.
So
Exactly right.
This is my forecast. This is my prediction. It's not informed. It's just kind of comment. It's gut call here.
Yep.
I think Ramondre Stevenson is on the field to begin the game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ramondre Stevenson has a snap edge. I think Ramondre Stevenson has a carries edge. I think it's a little more equitable than where it was previously. Like there were games where, as Mike mentioned, it was like 75-25 in favor of Stevenson.
Yep.
This feels like it will creep much closer to 55-45.
Yeah, no doubt. And they keep playing well offensively with Henderson handling most of the pass blocking work as well. So it's not like I'd be a little more concerned about this if they were still not trusting him in that role. But they are. They have the last couple
He's
of
been
weeks.
good.
So
Yep.
makes me think a little bit of a changing of the guard is on
He
the
also
way.
just needs one, right?
Yeah.
Like he could break as he has shown against Tampa
And he'll
twice and other games. Like one big play for Trayvon Henderson could equal 14 fantasy points.
From a projection
That would be
standpoint,
a lot,
Mike,
but, you know.
you still have Ramondre slightly ahead of Travion.
I have them both at 14 points. I mean, I have
Okay,
Henderson,
so they're just back
Henderson
to
is
back.
ahead, but they're at 17 and 18. So a
Okay.
little bit of hedging on this one, but they're both in the top 20.
Got it.
You can start them both. And I would have more. I feel like the floor is higher for Henderson in this one just because maybe Stevenson coming back is limited or Henderson's the guy, but we know Henderson's going to have a role. He has to. They can't go backward now.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to Pittsburgh. It's the team that played the Bengals last
Yeah.
week. Jalen Warren only played 18 snaps in that game against the Bengals. Still had 67 yards to our point about how bad the Bengals are against running backs. Warren's still playing well, 83 yards per game, 13.2 fantasy points per game, despite only scoring 3 touchdowns this season. Good matchup against the Bears. 5.0 yards per carry against running backs this season. That's one of the worst in the NFL. It sounds like Warren will go. He's missed some practice, but Mike Tomlin said he expects him to play. So as far as I'm concerned, Jalen Warren, good RB2. Kenny Gainwell back to the bench. He's had 2 huge games this year.
Yeah.
Both were when Jalen Warren were injured. One he missed, the one he left last week's game against the Bengals. Otherwise, he's been, what is it? It's horrendous. Under 10 fantasy points in every other game he's played. So he is not a starting option if Warren is active.
Concur.
All right, good. Next one. Packers.
Oh,
Here's one of the tricky
This
ones
is the
of
big
week.
one.
Yes. So Josh Jacobs may play in this one. We're not sure yet. If Emmanuel Wilson is available on waivers, you're going to see a very large projection that, of course, assumes Josh Jacobs is out for this one, which is still my expectation.
My lean is Jacobs out.
I agree. I think they give him a week off here and give Wilson a shot. Jacobs has not missed a game since he joined the Packers. So I think maybe he gets the week off here, and we take a look at Wilson. Last week, 11 carries and 1 target on 36 snaps. Chris Brooks played 5 snaps. It wasn't even close. It wasn't like last year where those were the 2 backups, Wilson and Brooks, and they kind of split that role. It was very clear-cut in favor of Emmanuel Wilson. So, and by the way, he's averaging 4.6 yards per carry in his career. He's been pretty effective, has Wilson. So he's a good. I ranked him 14. He's a good RB2. I think he certainly should be in lineups against Minnesota. They haven't faced a lot of running back volume this season, which is why they're kind of mid-pack and fantasy points allowed. But it's a neutral matchup.
Emmanuel Wilson now rostered in 71% of leagues, which means that people listened to us when we said just to make plans just in case you don't have
They saw
time.
that, or they
biggest
saw that
ad of the
projection on waivers.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Whoa, Nelly.
Yep.
All right. It was enormous. Last one, guys, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ooh,
Bucky
baby.
Irving, Rashad White, Sean Tucker.
Give us some good news here, Mike. We've been waiting for something. Do you have anything?
Well, the good news is we expect Bucky Irving perhaps to return this week. Maybe he's still limited in practice.
He was
sure about
back-to-back limiteds.
Yeah, there seems like a chance he plays in this one. The
I
bad
think
news
there's
is
a chance. I'm not saying. I don't think it's a certainty.
the bad news is if he goes though, what do you do with him? Like, is he going to be plays full complement of snaps? Probably not.
Their offensive coordinator, Josh Grizzard, has already said, in the case of both Chris Godwin and Bucky Irving, when they come back, it's not like you get them back out there, you immediately put them back into their normal roles.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 3 backs in this one.
Correct.
You're going to see Rachaad White on the field. You're going to see Sean Tucker on the field. And, of course, Bucky Irving, if he's active, will play. Now, if Irving's out, Tucker, it's still probably going to be somewhat of a hot hand approach, but I think we feel better about Sean Tucker as the top play after what we saw last week. He'll be in the RB2 conversation. Rachaad White probably a little risky to start, but a flex option in this matchup. But they're playing the Rams. I mean, this is
very not a good matchup.
Especially if Irving is active, it's going to be really hard to trust any of these guys.
Yeah.
I do want to say this, though, about Sean Tucker. That'll be the
cold
end
water,
of this.
Mike?
Yeah, a lot of reasons for pessimism here. First of all, last week they played the Bills.
Yep,
they are
that helps.
They're the worst run defense in the NFL.
Second worst
run
defense.
Counting,
yes.
Remember, the Bengals aren't an NFL defense.
Correct.
We're not counting them. So the Bills are the worst. He took advantage of that matchup, obviously. Obviously, Bucky Irving, if he's not back this week, will be back soon, and he's their best back. Like, he beat him out last year.
Absolutely.
He's gonna be their lead back at some point. Also, we've seen this before from Sean Tucker. Last year in Week 6 had 192 yards and 2 touchdowns and 17 touches. The rest of the season, he had 39 touches, 204 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah. And it wasn't like he got hurt. He just went back to the bench. Again, they're playing the Rams this week. They've allowed 3 touchdowns and the 3rd fewest fantasy points to running backs. I do not think this is a Rico Dowdle situation where Rico Dowdle played well and then took over the lead back role.
No.
I don't
doesn't feel like
he's going to be the guy. It's just I'm not sure that happens this week.
Mind you, we have seen some Rico Dowdle type games out of Sean Tucker, as you're saying,
true.
But I agree.
Only 2.
Yes.
No others. I don't think it's there. And maybe it's enough that he takes some away from Rachaad White and maybe a little away from Bucky Irving. They're like, okay, Irving's back now. We're not going to put as much of the workload on him as they did the first 4 weeks of the season. He's an undersized back. Like, it makes sense to disperse some of those touches. So you might see some Sean Tucker, but it might be 6 carries, 0 targets for him once everyone's healthy.
Totally.
Okay. I would not like to start any Bucks running back, I think, this week, if I could help it. If I can just not start anybody.
If Irving's active.
If Irving's active.
Out, then I think you feel better about
yes,
Tucker.
correct.
Yeah.
But if Bucky Irving is there.
Even then, they're playing the Rams. So it's
feel
like,
I don't feel good about it.
Yep.
I want to talk to you about a guys that we haven't been starting recently,
okay.
But I'm hoping that we kind of get back to a spot where maybe he becomes a useful flex option down the stretch for us, and that's Jacoby Myers. In his 3rd game against with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Couple things. First 2 games that he played as a Jaguar were against really difficult defenses.
Okay.
They played the Texans and the Chargers. That's the 2nd and 3rd fewest points per game to wide receivers this year. Week 10, he played 42% of the snaps. That was his first game with the Jaguars. Week 11, he played 64% of the snaps. So you saw it jump by over 20% there. Had 5 for 64 on 6 targets.
That's good.
This week, they take on the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. still limited at practice. Has been limited for both days. Still dealing with that ankle injury. Was limited last week as well and ended up not being able to roll because of it. So we're definitely watching that because there's a chance that Brian Thomas, in being limited, could be out there. There's also a chance, just like last week, he doesn't play and Jacoby Myers is the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. I don't feel super great about starting Jacoby Myers, but this topic is more about the idea of we've seen that snap share increase. They have everybody else. This is a playoff team. Mm-hmm. The Jaguars are 7-4. They're literally in the playoff hunt right now. They need pass catchers. So is this a spot where we can see more snap share, maybe high 70, low 80%? He was in the 90% snap share range when he was playing for the Raiders. Yeah. Do we see him become a larger part of this roster this week? I would love to see just more Jacoby Myers. So I'm not starting him. I'm probably out this week. Mm-hmm. He's going to be outside my top 35 at the wide receiver spot. But I just want to mention it because these Jaguars, especially with BTJ being banged up, as a playoff team, they need someone they can count on, and I'm hoping he can become a guy as a flex option down the stretch for our playoff squad.
Yeah, we'll see if BTJ plays. If he's out, it makes it more appealing.
No,
BTJ, I have zero feel on because, as Daniel noted, he did practice all week last week.
Correct.
And then did not play.
Yep.
I kind of feel like something may have to give here on Sunday afternoon in Las Vegas. I will continue to say my 2 favorite defensive plays on the week are the Browns and the Raiders. Even with a veteran quarterback under center for the Raiders, I still feel like I prefer the Browns. The Browns are a better defense, obviously. I'll continue to say I think my bold prediction is that Myles Garrett breaks the NFL single-season sack record over the next 3 games.
Over the next 3 games?
By week 14.
How many more does he need?
He needs 7.5 to tie, 8 to break. I think over the next 3 games, Myles Garrett gets 8 sacks. Becomes the NFL's single-season all-time sack leader. They have been tracking sacks since 1982, and I think 22.5, Michael Strahan's current record, is going to go down, courtesy of Myles Garrett. but something has to give here a little bit. So on the one hand, we have seen at times Ashton Jeanty get semi-game script out of games when, like, the Raiders have been absolutely demolished, which is a lot recently. He's a little bit vulnerable to either a couple of snaps for Raheem Mostert or, like against Kansas City, they just benched him. They rested him when they were getting smoked by the Chiefs.
Yep.
So that's not going to happen against the Browns. The Browns are not good enough to blow out the Raiders, but the Browns have allowed the 5th fewest fantasy points per game to opposing running backs this season. And while I think Jeanty has kind of settled in, he's not been like as bad as it seemed coming out of the gates. He still only has one game with 20 plus fantasy points. He has a second with 19.9, but still, by definition, just one 20-plus fantasy point game this season. Do you guys think the Raiders' offense can do enough and Jeanty can find the end zone on Sunday to be a solid RB2?
Negative.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at 10.
I think he can be an RB2, but I don't think he finds the end zone. Sorry, you asked like 2 questions. I don't think he finds the end zone.
Yeah, I'm still chasing the volume and the
receiving game
talent, and the receiving game work has been better. So it might not be super efficient. He's still struggling before initial contact, but he's been really good after initial contact. So
he's due to break one of these soon,
Yeah, I mean, I'm still chasing that.
I had asked Mike about this the other day, where I was like, we're now almost 12 games into the season. Ashton Jeanty, one of the running backs that we talked about, where Mike had a stat leading in. If you are drafted inside the top 10, we expect you to be really good at fantasy football, and we're just wondering what it would look like. Mm-hmm. He's still, it doesn't feel great. Ashton Jeanty's still running back 15 on the season. That's the thing. And he could easily finish as a top 12 running back down the stretch.
And I believe, is that in points per game or is that
points per game?
Points?
Points per game.
Yeah, because he's already had his bye too. So if it was total points, it would be even higher than that. One thing I will say is I still remain flummoxed by what Chip Kelly is doing. Did you guys see he was asked, and coordinators are required to speak once a week to the media. I think the local media gets to request offense or defense. Because it's an offensive league, we tend to hear from offensive coordinators. And Chip was asked, why did they abandon the run basically from Jump Street last week? And Chip was like, we're moving the football all up and down the field through play action. He's very stubborn. I hope that his stubbornness lands on give Ashton Jeanty the ball 30 times on Sunday. Or maybe Jeanty, 22, Brock Bowers, 13 targets, and Jack Besh actually plays.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Those would be the 3 things that make me happy.
Yeah.
It's probably asking for too much.
I don't love it. It doesn't give me.
I don't have a lot of confidence. I thought we were going to get when Myers got traded. I thought we were going to get a look at Jack Besh, and they won't do it.
Or maybe Trey Tucker would materialize as because he's still nice and young.
Listen, here's the deal.
It's just Brock Bowers and
I
Ashton
feel like
Jeanty,
Tucker is a 3.
All
due respect to him,
he's a 3.
He's a 3.
But listen, this coaching staff is remarkably stubborn, and Pete Carroll is going to be optimistic until the bitter end. That being said, he's up there. We're going to win a ton of games. You guys just got to see it. It's coming. We're going to win a ton of games. That may happen. Play the kids. You're 2-8. Who cares about whether Tyler Lockett can post 45 receiving yards? I know this sounds absolutely bombastic because I was cool with the trade when it went down for them this offseason. I'd freaking play Aiden O'Connell right now. He's healthy. I know that sounds awful, but Geno Smith has been worst starting quarterback in the NFL. Relative to his own baseline,
it's been rough.
I would play Aiden O'Connell right now.
I would say he's the worst starting quarterback in the NFL, given the fact that the other guys that I think are worse than him haven't had 13 years of NFL experience or whatever.
Relative to his own baseline,
correct.
Cam Ward's probably statistically been worse, or Dylan Gabriel, but those guys are rookies.
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely. It is, yes.
Is that crazy for one to see Aiden O'Connell?
No. I would rather see Aiden O'Connell at this point. I absolutely would. And by the way, it's really tough when you hear an offensive coordinator say stuff that you just know as a fan with logic in your brain, where you're like, stop, guys, just stop.
Well, I think
don't do this.
If I ever had the opportunity to be a consultant to people in front of a microphone in the NFL, it would be stuff like that where I'd be like, hey, it's totally fine to go up there and be like, we just got blown out again.
Yep.
Hey, listen, we're working extremely hard to find ways, and we understand that the most important way for us to play offense right now is to maximize some of our most talented players. I haven't done enough of that. I'm going to work on that going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kenny Pickett also there as an option. Remember the Browns week 1 starter supposedly for a while in the offseason. We thought
I didn't even realize that Kenny Pickett was the backup.
So we might see some of these guys down the stretch.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. Yep. I like it.
What's next?
All right, next for me is the Cowboys off. Well, actually, the Eagles-Cowboys game is just lineup lock central on both sides.
Is this going to be like Lions-Eagles games that would line up locks on both sides too?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
That was 9-16.
But those, at least Dallas's defense is better objectively. On paper, and they showed it last week. It was the Raiders. I get it, but Eagles defense is peaking for sure. And that's where I'm headed here, which is that, yes, like Javonte Williams, the 2 receivers, even Jake Ferguson, those guys are going to be in lineups this week.
For sure.
But what about Dak Prescott? That's the tricky one. They played in week 1. He had 188 yards and 0 touchdowns, 7.8 fantasy points in that game. And then he heated up after that, 22 plus fantasy points in 5 of his next 6. Now he's been a little bit boom bust. He had 2 duds in a row against Denver and Arizona. And then, of course, he beat up on the Raiders with 24.3 on Monday. Fellas.
Yes.
The Eagles have allowed 2 weekly finishes better than 12th to quarterback so far this season. Their last 2 opponents since their bye, with everyone kind of healthy in the Jalen Phillips trade, Jordan Love at 7.8 points, and Daniel, as you know, Jared Goff 12.1. This is a tough assignment. Maybe probably a top 5 toughest assignment.
I think it's 3
assignment right now.
Top 3.
I
think there are 3 defenses you're scared of the most.
Yeah.
In some order.
Houston, Philly, and Denver. And Denver, yes.
Yep. Those are the 3 that are
fair enough.
different tier. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have Prescott at QB 11 because this is still a team that's going to throw the football. He has 2 good targets. You expect CeeDee Lamb to deliver.
Cowboys are much better at home offensively.
That's a good point, too. They haven't, they beat up on the NFC East at home, too. Makes this really
21 and
favored.
2.
Yeah, it's a tricky one for sure. So, but nonetheless, they can win this game and Dak could have a bad game. I mean, just like the Lions very easily could have won last week, and Goff could have had a bad and did have a bad game. So
the Cowboys are kind of like the Texans in the sense that this is their last stand.
Yeah, they have to win. Yeah,
they win, and it's like we can until they lose another game.
Yeah,
we can play the "we have a shot" card. The Texans are in that same.
Yeah,
boat.
This is the NFC East right here, probably. I mean, if the Eagles win this,
they're probably winning it either way. But
yes, but if Dallas wants a shot, they've got to win.
I think so. But the way the Eagles
8-3 versus 5-5-1.
If the Eagles could start scoring points, though, geez, we're going to lose 4 in a row the way they're playing offense. But anyway, Prescott, yes, I have him at 11. He's a fringe starter this week. Definitely, if you've been leaning on him though through that hot streak, little caution this week.
Yep. You got him at 10. I got him at 11. Field has him at 12. So we're all in that same range as a low-end QB1. I'm going to talk about another quarterback, and most importantly, just the Chiefs' passing attack in general. Field, you kind of talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, but I just want to mention the Chiefs here. Rashee Rice, top 5 wide receiver. He's a lineup block.
Okay,
Travis Kelce, he's a top 5 tight end. He's a lineup block at this point of the season. That's who he is. Xavier Worthy did not practice on Wednesday, was limited on Thursday, and dealing with an ankle injury. I'm still out on Xavier Worthy.
I think just for those wondering, it's the same cadence he was on last week.
It is.
He'll probably play on Sunday, but he's managing this ankle thing, whatever it is.
They are dealing with it. Yeah, it happened during practice in week 11. So we'll see how that one works out. But I would probably still rather not play Xavier Worthy because we have not seen it. He has not been a trusted pass catcher within this. And that's part of this, as you had alluded to. Patrick Mahomes was really good for a while. He's kind of slowed down just a little bit recently. And I want to give you guys a couple of stats here. He's had back-to-back duds. And I want to take a look at, I built a couple, or I did not build. I am so sorry.
DIY?
Our producer, Tyler, built me some full screens. And so I want to look at this. Patrick Mahomes, when he's had at least 25 rushing yards in a game this year. Weeks 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8. He had at least, if you were watching the YouTube stream, and if you are not, you can see it, at least 22 fantasy points in every single game. He has at least 25 rushing yards this year because he has been utilizing his legs so much more. Those are the 6 good games. The other 4 games in which he has not hit at least 25 rushing yards look a little bit different. There is one game in there in which he looked pretty good, which we're going to throw up on the screen as well. But week 3, only 2 rushing yards, 13.1 fantasy points. Week 4, only 5 rushing yards. He had 27 because he had 4 passing touchdowns in that game. Week 9, only 5 rushing yards, 10.1. Week 11, only 3 rushing yards, 13.3. I tell you that because the Colts are allowing the second fewest rushing yards to quarterbacks this season, on top of just being a good defense in general against passing quarterbacks.
I'll say this, though. I don't think Patrick Mahomes' rushing totals are at all predictable.
I agree
because it's all
with
scrambles,
that.
right? So
this is where I was saying earlier in the season, I do not believe this rushing is real. Like, he's not going to get 12 points a game because he's getting 55 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, which is what 4 of those 6 games that he had over 22 fantasy points, like, that's what he was doing. He's finding the end zone. He's running a ton.
I'm in on Mahomes this week.
You guys, I believe, have him as quarterback 4. I've got him at quarterback 8. I believe. So I'm definitely lower.
I'm on 4. The Colts have been good against the pass. I mean, they're mid-range in fantasy points allowed because they face a lot of volume. If you look at points over expected, they're 3rd best against quarterbacks this season. So in a more competitive game, you might see them play well defensively. But again, I have Mahomes at 4. He's still going to have to throw the football a lot and may not be running as much, but he has Rashee Rice, and
he does. You said the correlation might not be like a running thing, which is also part of the problem for me because he has more games with 0 or 1 passing touchdowns than he has multiple passing touchdowns. He only has 1 game where he has thrown 300 passing yards this year. If you look at his box score, you wouldn't be like, oh wow, that's clearly Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. That stretch was really great, but it was buoyed by all of the rushing that he got. So I'm just saying he's lower. That's all.
The correlate, there is a correlation between him running
and a fantasy
quarterback. I just can't say hey, the reason why it happened those weeks versus these weeks is it's all scrambling, right? It's not really any designed runs whatsoever, and it's hard to predict scrambles.
Mm-hmm. Hard to predict scrambles. Yeah. And it's a quarterback that has 1 300-yard passing game, and he has more games with 0 or 1 passing touchdown, which is why I am lower than you guys.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, this could be. I wouldn't be shocked if this is 17-13.
Oh, really?
No, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, we know the Chiefs' defense is good.
The Chiefs' defense is awesome.
And the Colts' defense, they could get Travarius Ward back here and have him and Sauce Gardner on the perimeter with Kenny Moore in the slot. I mean, does it get better than that?
It does not get better than that.
Unreal. Yeah. So this could be in Kansas City. Would not shock me if it was a low-scoring game. However, Mahomes is still averaging 2 more fantasy points per game than any other quarterback left in our rankings this week. I mean, he has been exceptional. So I have him at 4, not 1.
Mike, sometimes you got to look at the matchup and just take the superstar out of it. I learned that this last week on Thursday Night Football. So anyways.
If he does dud this week with the Texans looming in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, bro.
They play the Cowboys next week. That should help.
That one should feel good, yeah.
But if you have 4 out of 5 weeks of duds from Patrick Mahomes, man.
We'll talk about it.
My next talking point here is there was a time not that long ago where we thought that Jackson Dart was a potential league-winning quarterback, right? Yep. He was top 5 in our rankings every single week. That's still in play, and Jackson Dart could still play this weekend. He remains limited in practice, but it does sound like he is advancing through the concussion protocol, and the Giants expect him to play. This is not about whether I would start or sit Jackson Dart. He's inside the top 10. He's been awesome. It's really just, are we going to see the Jackson Dart that we saw prior to this that had a real clear path to top 3 to 4 quarterback upside? Or might this be a more conservative approach that puts a little bit more of a ceiling on Jackson Dart? Jackson Dart is the only rookie quarterback in NFL history with 5 straight games with a rushing touchdown. He's been unbelievable with his legs. The week that Jackson Dart was out, which was last week, Shefty had a report about how the Giants are, to the effect of the Giants are encouraging Jackson Dart to be a little more mindful of his play, and as an organization, they're going to be more mindful of how he is rolled out as well. Reiterate this, when Brian Daboll was the head coach, he was clearly coaching for his job week in and week out. I kept calling it the kitchen sink. Mike, you and I were at one of Jackson Dart's first starts against your Eagles, and it was like everything they could do to maximize Jackson Dart, they were going to do. Now the objectives have changed, right? You want to play Jackson Dart. You want to continue to develop him. But when you've already fired the head coach, at some point the goals are not to win as many games as possible. It's to develop players for long-term success as best as you can. And is rushing Jackson Dart 8 or 9 times in this game the smartest thing to do when he just got out of the concussion protocol and he's been tested for a concussion 4 times this year?
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I think you'll still see a couple design runs, and he's going to scramble a bit. They're playing the Lions. You'd expect him to trail in this game. There's going to be opportunities for him to throw plenty and scramble a handful of times. That being said, I don't have him ranked top 3 or top 5, anything like that. I have him down at 8 this week against the Lions.
That's to me the point is that are we going from a guy who might settle in as more in the territory of guys, maybe Brock Purdy level, where it's 8 to 11 based off of matchup, as opposed to a guy where you're like, there was a week where Mike, correctly by the way, had him projected as the highest scoring quarterback on the board. Yep. And he had 26 plus fantasy points and he missed the 4th quarter basically.
Yeah.
So
this one's tough for me though. I get the question, but the hard part for me is the human element of Jackson Dart was just playing football. And are you going to tell, how old is he? 21? Are you going to tell a 23? Okay. Are you going to tell a 23-year-old kid who this is how he plays the game? All of a sudden he gets 1 week off.
In this extreme situation.
But is that going to immediately, are you going to see it the very next week on the field?
Maybe, but 2 things. One way to mitigate that is not running. They were running
just don't give him designed runs
and quarterback powers all the time.
But you can't. I feel like with the style of quarterback that he is, I don't know if you can help him being oh shoot, the play's not there, I'm going to take off. So
it is one of the biggest objectives of the organization going forward.
It should be.
By the way, and this is not something that is a mere byproduct of the Giants and Brian Daboll and running a lot. John Gruden, who does sort of a modified version of his longtime quarterback camp now with Barstool Sports, had Jackson Dart on there. And there's this clip that's been going viral of late where John Gruden, this is way before what we're talking about right now. This is back in March or something, is like, dude, we're going to call you Evil Knievel because the way you play right now. It's like, you cannot help yourself. Jackson Dart made a comment. I think it's something like he always wanted to be +2. And Gruden was like, what's that? He's like, every time I get hit, I want 2 more yards before initial contact. Nuh-uh. Like for quarterbacks, it might be -2. Like some of the best runners right now in the NFL at the quarterback spot are some of the most awkward scramblers too, because they do this thing where when they get in harm's way, they don't really know how to slide. So they just kind of like cower down.
They crumple down.
But you know what? It helps.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah, I take that from running backs. I mean, I have James Cook on my FF Now team, and last night there was one he was running around the corner, and there was a couple defenders coming, and he could have probably got an extra yard or two, and he just got out of bounds. So I was like, thank you, man. Like, I'll take that all day. Like, I think a lot of guys should do that.
What you're describing, though, was part of the like fear for me with the head. Like the thought process of, is Jackson Dart just going to be like, I'm just going to play differently? Everything you're describing is that's just the way the kid plays football.
He's gonna miss a lot
and
of
I
games.
think he can change that, but I just am wondering, can he change it in one game, or is this over the offseason, we're going to totally mold this kid into who we want him to be?
I would say this, is I don't think it can be changed in one game. I am sort of using this to set the table for what the rest of the season looks like.
Fair. That's
fair. Are we
fair.
going to get QB a top 3 quarterback for the rest of the year, or might he settle in as a top 8 quarterback, which is still, by the way, great, just not as great as it was when he was Evil Knievel out there.
If he's not utilizing his legs as much as he was, he just can't be that top 3 quarterback because of the guys that he has around him, it feels like, in this offense.
But I would agree with you that a lot of it is avoidable. If you're scrambling, if he rolls out and there's no one there, he's going to scramble either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, do you lower the shoulder and run over
get
a
down,
defender, or do you
slide, get out of bounds.
And the other way is you don't call design runs for him. Like, so I think a lot of it is avoidable and will happen pretty fast. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a plus as a rusher. He still will.
We all
It's
are
just
still
might not
starting
be
him.
at that level.
Yes. Don't worry. Aiden Hutchinson and Lee McNeil are going to collapse the pocket. You don't need design runs. He'll have plenty of scrambling opportunities.
Feel for him. They're going to let him alone.
Yeah.
They're going to be nice to him.
Mike Clay, I think you got one more left on the table.
Yeah, really quick. This could be, we'll speed through this. Titans wide receivers without Calvin Ridley. There's not much to talk about here. Alec Ailmanor missing practice. He might not even go in this one.
Jeez.
The only guy I'm interested in is Chimere DK right now. Chimere DK. It always takes me a half second. Look, Ridley's out for the season, but he's only played 7 snaps over their last 6 games anyway. He's been out or left 2 games injured. During those games, Ailmanor 30 targets, Van Jefferson 28. DK had 20, although he missed most of the last game due to injury. DK is the top Titans receiver during that stretch in fantasy points per game, despite missing most of that game, but it's only 9.4 fantasy points. This offense is 11 touchdowns in 10 games this season, which is unbelievably terrible. One of the worst we've seen in a long time in this league. They are facing the Seahawks this week. Tough matchup. If there's one of these guys who I might put on the end of my bench, it's DK. Right now, he does have those back-to-back 16-plus fantasy point games, but that's it.
Would you rather start Chimere DK
or
DK Metcalf?
I was just going to say that. Thank you, Field.
Metcalf.
I think so, too. I think I would start DK Metcalf.
I'll stick with it. I don't know if Jalen Johnson's even going to be a full go in that game. I mean, I know I'm going back to analysis of a different topic, but Jalen might be limited, having not played this season.
Yeah,
so I'm going
that'd be
Metcalf.
smart.
Yeah,
For sure.
Metcalf.
Yep.
All right. I got one more, and it's also really quick. And Field, you kind of alluded to it already.
Great minds thinking alike.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have known because this isn't a topic that we talk about on the show. But if I had to choose this week, I just want to make sure that the people knew if you need a streaming defense, the Las Vegas Raiders are out there and available for you to grab.
Yeah.
Raiders have been a very below average defense, though. I do not want to make it sound like they have been good. They're currently 25th in defensive fantasy points. They are averaging 3.9 points per game. But this week, Mike Clay has the Raiders defense and special teams with the 3rd highest projection of the week. Fantasy defenses are averaging 11.8 points per game against the Cleveland Browns. Only teams playing the Titans score more fantasy points per game on the defensive side than the Cleveland Browns, teams that play Cleveland. And obviously the kicker is you get Shedeur Sanders under center this week. So you got a rookie quarterback that you saw go 4 for 16, and we have no idea what he's going to look like. So if you need a streaming option this week, it's a little bit of like, don't watch the game, just like start him because the matchup should play. But the Raiders are out there if you need someone on the defense.
Dude, I love it. I also love at this time of the year, and especially in deeper leagues, I'm a week in advance on a lot of my waiver wire action right now. Obviously, if I have a player on a bye that I need to fill in, that's going to be the top priority. But thinking ahead, the 49ers draw the Browns next week. So if you're sitting there on Sunday and you've got an empty bench spot for whatever reason, you dropped somebody, made a trade, whatever, the 49ers are an interesting defense to grab now before they play the Browns next weekend. The Browns, by the way, who just got 20-plus fantasy points against the Ravens last weekend, obviously play the Raiders this weekend. 49ers next weekend, not quite as desirable. The Titans for the Browns in Week 14. So Cleveland is in a month-long stretch of being very valuable. On
I actually have them mid-pack strength of schedule the rest of the way. The easiest schedules going forward for defense is the Saints, the Dolphins, and the Buccaneers are top 3, Giants 4. So some of these aren't super intriguing, but you will have streaming
schedule
options.
is
Ravens
offset
at 5, though.
Yeah.
Ravens are a good one.
By Myles Garrett and how good they are.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so good. The Browns have splash players on defense. And for our game, splash plays are very valuable, as the Texans showed us last night.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it for our preview. We got some starts of the week we need to bring to people.
Yeah, we have to do that. By the way, we should recap our 2 trades in the Fantasy Focus.
Yeah, let's do it.
We got a couple of trades. Go ahead. Who was it? Who made these deals?
So I made one with Quentin. We negotiated.
One of our producers.
He put Amon-Ra St. Brown on the block. So I traded, as the resident Lions fan.
Of course.
I acquired Amon-Ra St. Brown, Trey Benson, hoping I get something out of him going forward, and R.J. Harvey. A couple running backs and Amon-Ra. Traded away Teteroa McMillan, the big game last week. And then I also gave him Bucky Irving and Jacoby Myers.
You just, so many unknowns in that equation.
Yes.
There absolutely are at the running back position, but I feel like I got a booster receiver. Gave up a high-end running back, but there's some question marks there with Bucky going forward and brought in. I feel like Harvey and Benson could be those guys we talk about, like, man, final month of the season, they delivered for their team at 20 touches each and came through. So I like it.
Here's how I think I would rank those players if they are available.
This is exactly the exercise I did.
Ready for it?
Yep.
Amon-Ra 1.
Yes.
Okay. That's on Mike's side.
Agreed.
Teteroa 2.
That's on Q's side.
Okay.
Bucky Irving 3.
Yeah.
Trey Benson 4. R.J. Harvey 5. Jacoby Myers 6.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So when you add those up, you get 1, 4, and 5. That equals 10. He gets 2, 3, and 6. That equals 11. So very equitable trade right there.
My thinking why I did that, though, is because, first of all, Teteroa still has his bye, which is somewhat of a variable. Harvey's on a bye this week, but I don't need him this week, so it works out nicely there. And also, Irving, he's coming off.
Who knows?
He's been out for a while. I know there's some uncertainty there. And I have Bijan Robinson as my RB1 in that league, so I feel like puts me in a good spot. But again, I understand it from both sides. It felt like a really helpful deal for both sides.
Totally. Oh, no, sorry. And then you dropped Harold Fannin as a part of this move, huh?
No, I did not. Other side.
Oh, okay.
Benson was on waivers.
Q had to drop.
Or Benson was on IR, so he had to drop someone. Yeah.
All right.
All right, and I made a trade as well. So I made a trade with Zach, one of our producers, as well. I, in that league, have been pretty running back thin. And I might be okay this week if Bucky Irving is out. But going into the weekend, I don't know if he is out. So I moved my Jalen Waddle on a bye. In exchange for his Quinshon Judkins. Zach, a little bit thin at wide receiver himself. My wide receiver core is made up of, normally, Jalen Waddle plus Nico Collins plus George Pickens. I can probably scrounge together a flex on the wide receiver front easier than I can a second running back. So I now have Quinshon Judkins going forward as my RB2 to pair with Travion Henderson.
I believe all the teams involved kind of battling for
kind of all in the mix.
We're all kind of it's a tight league in that middle portion. So a lot of fun.
We'll see how this one's going to play out because there's a lot of teams right in the middle there, like you guys are talking about.
All right, fun,
Let's dive into our
next Wednesday, by the way.
Starts of the week. Yes, it is. And we will definitely talk about that more, not only about the trade deadline coming into Thanksgiving weekend, but like you were saying, Field, with it being week 14, the final week of buys, next week we should talk about people that you should preemptively add for the following week to be able to get ahead of the CMC bye week with that one.
That's a Tuesday topic right there.
Let's dive into some starts of the week.
All righty.
I unfortunately have a punishment this week, my
Yeah,
friends.
you do.
Yeah.
My punishment is going to be giving out my players while I do some hot sauce.
Okay, do you have it?
I do have it. I'm going to start with you guys though, and I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to let you roll first, and then I'm going to be at the end if that's all right with you guys.
Am I up first since I won? Finally?
Sure. Yeah.
your
Yeah.
first
Got off the
win?
schneid.
I don't remember, but it's been a minute. If
We'll
it
see
has
if we
been.
got the standings here for starts of the week. I wonder
Yeah.
how that looks too.
It's been a minute.
We
All
definitely
right.
have last week's points. We showed you it was an absolute dilapidation.
Yeah, it was
Just
not
a
good.
terrible performance
Not
all the
good.
way around.
Yep. So we're picking outside the top 10 quarterbacks and tight ends, outside the top 20 running backs, outside the top 30 receivers. But remember, we get a wild card.
One wild card.
One wild card. So
Wild card gives you anything other than a top 5 player. You cannot pick a top 5 player with your wild card.
exactly right. So my start of the week at quarterback will be Jacoby Brissett against the Jaguars. Literally set the completion record in the NFL last week.
He did.
452 yards. He has 2 touchdowns passing in all 5 starts
Yes, he
so
does.
far this season. 19 plus fantasy points in all those. And Jacksonville, top 5 in fantasy points to quarterback. So give me Jacoby Brissett.
Like it?
Running back, Ken Walker III, trending up, fellas. Season high 20.1 fantasy points last week and draws the Titans, 8th most fantasy points to running back. So
Big there.
like that one.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. I've talked up this guy early in the. I know he had a dud last week, but I said stick with him. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Ricky Pearsall against
Yes.
Carolina.
Like it.
85% route participation last week at 0 yards on 1 catch, but I think he takes a leap forward this week. So I'm going all in on him. Last one will be my wild card. It is Hunter Henry because give me some piece of a player playing against the Bengals this week, and they have been atrocious against tight ends. The most yards, touchdowns with 12 already, and fantasy points to tight ends. And Henry's a bold wild card because he has been under 10 fantasy points in 7 straight games. I think that changes this week.
Wow.
So
Like it.
remember, we have
Nice.
to use we have 8 weeks, so we can only use
Correct.
a position wild card twice. I already used wide receiver, so I'm burning a tight end this week.
Like it. All right, Fieldminster Yates.
I am up next, and my quarterback is Caleb Williams.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sort of trying to show Caleb, I believe.
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
believe.
you are.
I legitimately do believe here in Caleb Williams. I do think this Bears offense can handle some of this man coverage they're going to see from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have done a good job against that so far this season. He's right inside my top 10 of quarterbacks. My running back is Kenneth Walker III. Mike made all the right
wow.
points there. So
Right.
one piece of
Wow.
crossover between Mike and I. That is
Okay.
KW3. My wide receiver, not quite a crossover from Mike, but a similar line of thinking. My wild card pick of the week, Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
As much of this offense as we can get this weekend, as Mike said. I don't think anybody will shadow Stephon Diggs. DJ Turner, of course, their top corner. Just Diggs has moved all
He's
over the
inside too much.
field. He's
Yep.
played inside. Like it's just he's a tough guy to shadow with in a given week. And then finally, this guy was on a bye last week at tight end after 4 straight games of 10 plus fantasy points. Juwan Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. So
call.
obviously, no more Rashid Shaheed.
Correct?
Brandon Cook's cut.
Yes.
Or will be cut
Traded
at
or
some
something.
point.
Yeah, yeah. It
He's
was
going to be
let go,
cut
let go.
eventually.
Yeah.
Which I think we'll see more Devon Valet. We'll see, obviously, a lot of Chris
Mason
Olave.
Tipton.
We'll see Mason Tipton. But Juwan Johnson, who's, I thought Taysom Hill might be more of a detriment to his value when he first came back. No.
Yeah, he's
Taysom
great.
Hill's
Yeah,
an
he's
X
a running
factor,
back. Yeah.
and Juwan Johnson is pretty much an every down player.
I hate to say this, but one of my favorite bets of the week is Juwan Johnson under 4.5 catches. He has 4 targets in his last 2 games, so 4.5 catches seem pretty bold to me. So I like the under 4.5 catches. But
Okay,
anyway,
Mike, keep that crap to yourself. None of us want to hear it.
Yeah. So are you just going to drink the entire bottle of hot sauce?
Juwan Johnson.
Oh, God.
So here's the deal. I got some hot sauce.
How hot
We've done
is that
this.
sauce?
We've done this before, right?
yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
did a little homage
do
to
the mild
the
one?
hot
Dude
ones.
wipes?
We've
Do
done,
you
I
need
did
some
not bring any.
preemptive dude wipes
Did you
right
bring
now?
mild or what'd you bring?
No, this is the good stuff. I have
no.
one,
Oh.
and I'm going to,
What's its rating?
as a part of a million,
no.
whatever really hot is.
It's Jared Goff's
So-
quarterback rating.
I've got this. That's right. I've got 1 chip per position. Oh
my God.
So I'm not going to do 1 chip for all 4. I've got to do all of them, and I'm going to make sure that everyone sees that I am effectively putting
That's good.
Is that enough?
Yeah,
Be
that's
clear,
enough.
you're doing
That's
this
enough.
one time,
That's
right? Not 4
All right.
times.
All right. So I got that. I mean, that's
They said he's
I mean,
doing
there we
1
go.
per position, right?
You're doing
One
1
per
per
position.
position? Oof.
You're
All
an
right.
animal.
So my starting quarterback. Oh man. Starting quarterback this week gonna be Sam Darnold, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Back-to-back duds under 5 fantasy points.
What's wrong, Daniel?
You okay?
Yep.
Already? He's
fine.
already hitting?
Yeah.
I believe it.
Under
It's been
5
much.
fantasy points. But they're taking on the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And you love that. So I'm following Sam Darnold. I should have done one chip for the whole lineup, guys.
Yeah, I'm surprised you made this decision.
Well, some of us
Go a little lighter on it.
really want to be a man of the people and make sure that they get what they paid for on this free streaming internet show. Oh my gosh.
Do you want me to prepare the chips for you?
Yeah. Do you need me to?
Nope. My second one, I also want a piece of that game, but I'm going to take Chase Brown.
Hey,
Okay.
Going up against the Patriots as my wild
Wait, do you
card.
have to put double the hot sauce for your wild card?
No, that's unfair.
I'm not gonna lie. I know Stefania's our resident empath, but I am feeling this for you.
Me too. Yeah.
All I can think of right now is sitting on the John later.
Yeah. You know my friend John? All right, so the
he
third one.
does. Why he doesn't do this anymore.
That's why, yes. But we talked about the reason why we like Chase Brown against the Pats. They're really good against the run. But, Mike, you alluded to it. They are really good at allowing running backs to be able to catch the ball. That is something that Chase Brown has done recently over the last 2 weeks. 6 and 8 catches in those 2 games. At my wide receiver spot,
All right, you're doing well. You're hanging in there.
I am going to go with a guy that has not been good this year,
Got like a little taco going there.
with a quarterback that has also been atrocious, and that is Darnell Mooney
Yeah, I like this one.
at the wide receiver
I almost
spot.
went with him. I like it.
God, I don't know, man. I can't.
Taking on the Saints, it's going to be him and Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Kadero Hush, but I think I am leaning on them getting back to their 2024 version of themselves. They've had all week in practice to be able to hone that chemistry again. I'm in on Darnell Mooney. And the last one, boy, I don't like this, is the tight end who has only had 4 targets in each of the last 2 games,
Seems not.
but has scored at least 10 fantasy points in 4 straight. Take that, Mike Clay. It's Juwan Johnson.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm out on Juwan.
I know.
I'm out on Juwan.
Are
This
you okay, bud?
That was hot.
Do we need milk for you?
It's
Do you need milk?
It's hot in a different way than the other one. Like the way, you know how like certain things like sit in your mouth or on your tongue or your
Well,
your hot
Yes.
buds.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Oh, that stuff. All right, let's do a
Well, good
couple of
job.
mailbag questions, guys.
Yeah, let's do more work while
We're
you're,
good at that.
mess on fire. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna head on over to our YouTube chat. Mind you, follow our friend Eric Moody on social media at Eric N Moody. He is awesome. First question that we have
To retire hot sauce. I just feel
YouTube
bad.
chat today.
Oh my goodness.
And Howe
No.
13.
Want me to read this?
Gordie Howe's grandson.
Yeah, probably.
yes, it is. And out 13. Let's just take this over. Take the rest of the show.
Why don't you guys go ahead and do that?
He wants to know, would you trade Derrick Henry and Breece Hall for Devon Achane?
I would not. And I talked about this, I believe, the other day. The Ravens' schedule is pretty appealing.
It is
moving
appealing
forward.
going
So
forward, yep.
I think you're going to get RB1 numbers from Derrick Henry. HN obviously is on a tremendous level. He's up there. He's one of the best in the business, no doubt. But Breece Hall will probably get RB2 numbers. Henry, RB1. I think the only scenario is if I'm stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is a shallower league and you're loaded.
Right.
And
That's
just
where I
need
would
that
do it. Is if you're
A+
stacked and
level,
it's like,
yeah.
but-
hey, I'm not even starting. You're not doing more, are you?
Yeah, one per question. That's the way it works, right?
my God.
I thought we
No.
leaned into the.
All right,
are you
now,
guys not leaning into it?
I don't feel bad anymore.
All right,
I mean,
all right,
it's
keep
up to
going.
you. Yeah, you don't have to do that. Jeez, you're an
I just thought
animal.
the people at home.
You're literally crying right now.
It is hotter than I expected. Like the first
Yes.
one came on hot, but then it got hotter as I
you're
went.
an absolute. Here's what I don't understand about this. We can take another question in a moment. There are people who actually like this.
What's wrong with them?
There are people that eat that and they're like, "Oh, let me get some more." What would that be appealing on?
I have no idea.
I would not want to ruin a burrito with that hot sauce.
No. Why
I
ruin
like-
a perfectly good
It's a little
burrito?
bit of spice. Mild to medium
Yes,
range is
I like
fine,
mild
but
to medium
anything
hot
more-
sauce on so many things in my life.
Yes.
You can put it on pizza. You can put it on sandwiches. You can put it on various types of meat. I'm all good with that. On chips if you want to. If you want to put it in like a 7-layer dip, that sounds great. Not the stuff that you're eating right now.
No.
Oh, gosh. Aller1SJ says, he put his hair down. You know he is sweating.
That is unfortunately
confirm.
true, guys.
Literally, he is sweating.
Yeah.
Maybe
And my
one more
nose is running.
question,
I need
Tyler.
a-
If we have one
you
more
bring milk.
question, let's take it so Daniel can get out. Here we go. One more question here. Flex Bam Night. Bam! Mark Andrews or Ricky Pearsall, assuming Trey Benson is out.
Let's assume
night.
Trey Benson's in. Would you start Trey Benson over all of those other 3 guys?
No.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. If Trey but if he doesn't have Trey Benson and Trey Benson's not available to him, my answer would be Ricky Pearsall over Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I'm going Pearsall. It is close with Andrews. I'm going Pearsall. I think you get more upside out of that, not as reliant on just a touchdown like you are with Mark Andrews. But if Benson is out, then I'm going Bam Knight.
This guy's a savage right here. One more before we say goodbye because Daniel literally needs to go to the bathroom right now. What else do we got? This next
The whole
question
roll of tissues.
comes from Ambition Z1000, Kyle Monungai or Devin Singletary. Keep in mind that Singletary faces the #1 run defense in terms of fantasy points allowed. 2 running backs, that being the Detroit Lions. I am going to go with, begrudgingly, Kyle Monangai.
Yeah, me too. I have him one spot ahead, so this is a toss-up for sure. Singletary getting the goal line work from Tyrone Tracy, which helps your cause, but Monangai, a bit of a lighter matchup. Not that much of one. The Steelers have been good against running backs, but I'll give him my tiny edge.
All right, that's going to do it for us here on Fantasy Focus today. We're going to say goodbye. We're going to take Daniel to the infirmary. Don't forget to love each other. Be kind to yourselves.
Today's show was presented by Wingstop as well. We love those guys over there. Absolutely.
How was my attempt?
It was great. No, you were fantastic at it. I appreciate it. We do love you guys. And we will see you on Sunday morning for Fantasy Football Now on ESPN2. We'll see you guys then.
The hair looks great.
Oh, it's so hot though, guys. Woo!